At the beginning, my story is pretty much your typical tale of discovering infidelity. I'm a 27-year-old guy, engaged for 6 months, and I started noticing my fiancée acting distant, being gone at strange times, making excuses for lack of sleep. Then I found the texts. Turns out she had been sleeping with a married guy who has kids. I even took pictures of all the evidence. This idiot was actually giving my fiancée advice on how to cheat, like it's some kind of acceptable thing. And yes, it's all right there in the text. This all happened in late spring, and our wedding was supposed to take place this summer. But let me tell you, there was absolutely no hesitation on my part. There was no way that wedding was going to happen. I was done. Fortunately, I work for a huge company that has plenty of job openings right now. I interviewed and secured a position in a place I've always wanted to live. I gave notice to my landlord since my fiancée was living with me in the apartment and the lease was solely in my name. I went ahead and filed an unlawful detainer to legally remove her from the premises. I got myself a new phone plan with a new number. The plan was to end the relationship on a Thursday, and my last day in the apartment was set for Friday. I had movers scheduled to help me move out. Talk about impeccable timing. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, she had a girls' weekend getaway planned for that very same weekend. I even arranged to have a sheriff at my place for 4 hours to ensure everything went smoothly. It cost me $200, but it was worth it. In my county, we can hire off-duty sheriffs for assistance. Here's what happened that Thursday. I FedEx screenshots of the incriminating messages to both her parents and the wife of the guy she was cheating with. I included respectful notes with the packages. Her parents had already spent a lot of money on the wedding, which had to be canceled at the last minute. I felt a bit bad about that. Well, not really. I turned off my old cell phone service and met with a deputy to explain the situation. I presented the court documents as evidence. The deputy was understanding and cool about it. When she came home from work, I told her we were finished. I asked her to pack her things and leave. No explanation, just that I wasn't ready for marriage. She was obviously upset and emotional. The deputy helped move things along. It took a few hours, and her tears eventually turned into anger. That evening, I blocked her on every platform and cut off contact. By Friday afternoon, I was on the road. It's been almost 3 months now. I have a new job, a new environment, and I'm meeting new people. I haven't had much contact with most people from that past relationship. Our mutual friends tell me she's not doing well. The friends I do keep in touch with now know the whole story. Her parents reached out to my parents and apologized. They asked for my contact information, but my dad declined to share it. He did suggest that I call them out of respect. Her sister, who I forgot to block, messaged me on Facebook. She said she understood why I did what I did, but felt I could have handled it better. Update. Many people mentioned my ex-fiance's sister's private message comment. Initially, I thought her comment was about how I handled things with her parents, but after reading your comments, I realized she might have been referring to how I handled it with my ex as well. During my long drive and in the days that followed, I felt like a coward. I felt like I was avoiding confronting my ex and telling her the truth. Honestly, I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't think it would make any difference, and then all I wanted was to get away. But now, thanks to your comments, I feel reassured about my actions. I'm planning to reach out to her parents soon. I just need to find a phone and some privacy. I'm not exactly sure what to say. It's about the text messages exchanged between my ex and the other person involved. I had 12 pictures of the text conversations, so quite a lot of evidence. I also had a few pictures that were not physical evidence, but still incriminating. There was no doubt that they had slept together. The comments he made that really bothered me were about justifying cheating. He said things like, "Everyone I know, both men and women, have had someone on the side at some point. I guarantee your boyfriend has cheated or will cheat. It's something all guys do. We're not programmed to be monogamous. My marriage is better because I don't have to share everything with my wife." The comments that my ex made really bothered me. She said things like, "I enjoyed our time together the other day. I just need to get more comfortable. It takes a couple of times. I'm just nervous, not about being with you. It's great. I just don't want him to find out. Ever. I'm pretty sure he cheated on me before." Just to be clear, I never cheated on her. I didn't reach out to the other person's spouse. I sent both the letters and screenshots via FedEx, and the tracking shows that they were delivered. That's all the information I have. Part of me wants to contact her, but another part of me thinks that with what I sent, there's no way he can get out of this unless she's in complete denial. And if that's the case, it would be pointless to contact her. I had conversations with some mutual friends, and they mentioned how she's not doing well, but I don't delve into the details. I prefer not to discuss her, so I changed the topic. I live in a really awesome apartment complex with many people my age, and I've made quite a few friends there. I also have a solid group of friends from work. My social life is pretty good overall. Once I talk to her parents, I'll tell you everything. I reached out to my ex's parents and had a conversation with my father-in-law. It was a good conversation overall. I approached it with an apology, expressing regret for sending them the pictures of the messages. I wanted them to understand the reasons behind my decision and showed them respect. However, my father-in-law didn't dwell on that and was more interested in how I was doing, my new job, and other things. He provided me with words of encouragement and support. We didn't discuss my ex specifically. He didn't offer any information, and I didn't ask. I also ended up talking to a friend from my previous location, and it seems like my ex moved back home and quit her job. I'll admit, I did some Facebook stalking of the AP's wife, and it seems like she received what I sent. Based on her Facebook posts around the time I sent the pics, there were a lot of motivational memes with supportive comments. It made me think that she might be considering leaving the other guy. I can't say for sure, but there weren't many posts like that before. As for me, I'm really enjoying my new job, and I'm making new friends every week. I'm not ready to start dating yet, but I feel positive about meeting someone when the time is right. Overall, nothing too exciting happening at the moment. I received a lot of questions about how I handled the breakup with my ex, and I want to thank everyone for their thoughts and support. I'm not the best writer, so I hope you understand. Just to clarify, I found out about her cheating long before I actually left. Those days right after the discovery were a complete blur for me, and they still feel that way sometimes. I couldn't eat, focus at work, or sleep. I was barely functioning. It was really tough for me not to confront her about it, but what really made a difference was one evening when she came home very late. I was pretty sure she was with him, watching her carry on as if everything was normal, being kind and asking about me while knowing it was all a lie, felt like a punch in the gut. It's hard to put into words, but she went from being the love of my life to someone I wouldn't be interested in, even if she were the last woman on earth. Obviously, I wasn't myself during that time, and I think she could sense that. There were moments when she was unusually affectionate and concerned, asking if I was okay or if something was wrong. It was extremely difficult to fake being okay when I clearly wasn't. What made it worse was that she seemed perfectly fine without any sleep. Thankfully, neither of us initiated anything, and that also reaffirmed my decision. During the actual breakup, I was really nervous. The police officer was really helpful. I shared enough of my story to gain some sympathy, or at least it felt that way. The officer advised me to say very little, and assured me that he would handle things. At that point, I was pretty much done and just wanted to get it over with. The officer showed a lot of sympathy towards her, and was kind, but also firm. I'm sure he had dealt with worse situations before. He definitely knew what he was doing. I spent most of the time on the balcony, pretending to play with my phone, with my back turned. The officer was talking to her the whole time, but I could barely hear their conversation. Anyway, thanks again for your support. Second story. We've been together for 3 years. We didn't always agree on everything, but we were deeply in love and decided to get married. However, I became upset when she gained a lot of weight and seemed disinterested in doing everyday things like cooking, cleaning, paying bills, and working. This led to many fights while we were living together. I would express how all of it made me feel, but she wouldn't share her own feelings. She would just agree with me, which made me think she was okay. The truth is, she has difficulty communicating and opening up, but she made an effort to improve, and that helped keep things going. A couple of months ago, during closeness, she asked if I ever thought about being in love with another woman. I told her that was not the case, but she kept pushing the topic until I asked her the same question. She revealed that she had someone in mind whom she wanted to experience love with, and they planned to do so on the following Sunday. Unfortunately, she forgot that it was going to be my birthday party, so that hurt me for multiple reasons. Naturally, I was incredibly angry and hurt. She realized her mistake and stopped talking to this guy. It turned out that she had been discussing all of our problems with him instead of talking to me, and they even had explicit texts that I had no knowledge of. However, when I made it clear that there was no way I would accept it, she ended the connection with him. After that, our marriage went downhill rapidly, and I kept bringing up the idea of divorce because things were going so poorly. She seemed to have lost interest and didn't seem to care anymore. Eventually, after one final argument, she agreed to get a divorce, thinking it was for the best, and she left. For the next 2 weeks, I thought she was spending time with her girlfriends because that's what she told me. Then I stumbled upon her online dating profile, and it completely devastated me. She claimed she was just talking to these guys and nothing more. She said she deleted the account, but she actually didn't. I brought it up again, and only then did she actually delete it. However, by that point, she had already exchanged phone numbers and Snapchat accounts with several men. I saw the notifications on her phone and realized that she was still texting these guys while we were living together. Now, I realized that we had basically agreed on getting a divorce, but the least she could have done was to wait until she moved out. We still hung out and lived together, and things were relatively civil between us. During those 2 weeks, she was hardly around. She would come home, quickly shower, put on makeup, and then spend the night at a friend's place. But as it turns out, she never actually met up with any friends during that time. Instead, she slept with 5 different Marines and exchanged explicit messages with 3 more guys. She gave away everything special between us, from closeness to cuddling and kissing, showering together, engaging in dirty talk, going on dates, giving compliments, and even sharing explicit pictures. She did it all. She thought we had broken up, but I didn't realize how serious the situation had become. I thought she just needed some time alone. Then one night when she came home, I had a gut feeling that something was wrong. I decided to go through her phone and found evidence of the things I described earlier. It completely devastated me. I confronted her about it, and at first she tried to downplay it, saying she had only kissed a guy or a couple of guys. But as the truth came out, she admitted to making out with them. In total, she had closeness with all 5 of them and exchanged photos with 8 or 9 in total. The only small relief is that they all use protection except during BJ. Learning all of this shattered me from the inside. She told me that she needed the attention. She wanted to feel desired. She knew she was good in bed, and she thought our relationship was over and that I didn't love her anymore. I understand her reasons. Although I don't condone her actions, it just hurt that on the very day she decided we were done, she had already lined up these guys while I was at home, hoping she would come back. To some extent, she was right to feel that way because I had been increasingly upset about her significant weight gain, lack of communication, and her unwillingness to address the small issues that bothered me. I had suggested going to couples counseling multiple times, but she always refused. She has since deleted and blocked every single one of those guys, as far as I know, and she hasn't been talking to anyone except her family in the past few days. Meanwhile, I've been physically sick from imagining what they did together. I ended up in the hospital due to dehydration after 4 days of this. Every time I picture the acts they engaged in, I feel a wave of nausea. It's too much for me to handle, so I've decided to see a counselor just to ensure my well-being. The thought of another man having been with my wife the night before me, and a different one the night before him, disgusts me. Yes, she had cleaned up since those encounters, but just the thought of it is repulsive. But she stopped being close with me halfway through those 2 weeks, almost as if to spite me, she said. She claimed that those guys found her attractive while I didn't. As a Marine, knowing that 5 other lower-ranking Marines had their way with my wife just destroys me inside. It wasn't just casual acts, it was the whole package. Foreplay, roughness, whatever you can imagine. So, I guess my question is, the only real instance of cheating was when she exchanged explicit messages with a guy a couple of months ago. After that, we agreed that we needed a divorce, and she started sleeping around and exchanging messages with many other guys. However, this was before any official divorce paperwork was filed. Now, where do I go from here? Every time I'm with her, I can't help but think about everything she did with those other men. But she believed she was single at that point. So is it fair for me to hold that against her? I even tried to arrange a one-night stand myself once I suspected she was being unfaithful. But that didn't work out. So the furthest I got was receiving a compliment from a stranger, calling me handsome while I called her beautiful. It's nothing compared to what my wife said and did. This has completely shattered my self-esteem and confidence, especially after hearing about how attractive those guys were and how she enjoyed some aspects of it more than our own close moments. She did express regret and said it wasn't worth it, emphasizing that I'm the one she truly loves. But can this relationship be salvaged through counseling and hard work? Or will I always feel sick at the thought of what she did? She assures me that she is fully committed and understands if I can't ever fully get over this. However, she genuinely wants to fix things now that she realizes what's wrong with her actions and how much I mean to her. My parents believe I should cut all ties with her. Her parents have mixed opinions, understanding if I choose to leave, but also thinking that it might be possible to mend things. Update. So it's been a while since my last crazy post. Over 3 years ago, I asked for advice to help me navigate my failing marriage. Looking back, it's pretty clear now how it had to end. But at that time, things were confusing for some reason. When you're so accustomed to a relationship, it's hard to imagine life without it. Inside jokes and favorite places to eat become ingrained. Did I take everyone's advice to get out of the relationship right away? Nope. Things actually got worse before they got better. Anyway, after posting about my situation, which I showed her and she strangely loved, I had two conflicting thoughts. One, I don't want to get divorced. We're young and can work through this. And two, screw it. I'm going to seek revenge and sleep around while filing for divorce. She made a promise to change, so we decided to give counseling a shot in the hopes of salvaging our relationship. After counseling, we ended up at her mom's place for a strange group intervention and counseling session. According to them, neither of us were at fault, which really bothered me. Regardless, I thought I was making an effort. I believed in putting in the work and not giving up too quickly, unlike what our generation tends to do. Or so they say. Well, guess what? Surprise, surprise. She never actually stopped talking to those same guys. They were like plagues in my life. Every couple of days, I would catch her chatting with a different one. Joey would make some remark about how good she was at playing along. Tyler would ask when they would meet up again. I remember a particular incident when I woke up and, due to my constant checking, had memorized her phone pin. I saw her exchanging I love yous with Matt. I woke her up furious, and somehow this was the breaking point. I guess because it wasn't just about closeness anymore, but full-on dating. The thought of her choosing to leave me after everything was too much for my mind to handle. So I told her that she had the day while I was at work to pack her things and leave for good. When I came back home, the apartment was empty, thankfully, but we were still technically married. I thought, screw it, time for some payback. I tried my best to have some one-night stands. Yes, I know, very mature of me. I was honest with these girls about what I was looking for. But for some terrible reason, I still ended up hooking up with my cheating wife. It was like this twisted cycle of her leaving her boyfriend. But we would have closeness one last time, and repeat that 5 times. What's ironic is that she was also jealous of my newfound escapades during this time. But hey, if she hadn't been involved with a bunch of guys, I wouldn't have felt the need to sleep around. Eventually, that was truly the last time we were together. And somehow, by some stroke of luck, I managed to escape being STD-free after my wild behavior for weeks. It felt like an act of mercy from a kind-hearted God, perhaps. And in a twist of cosmic karma, she didn't get away unscathed either, although it was a treatable infection. So, no need to worry too much. Anyway, we terminated our lease on the apartment where she no longer lived, and my military contract coincidentally ended in the same month. I made the decision to move across the country for a job opportunity in a state I had never set foot in before. It was a fresh start, with no friends, family, or exes around. And let me tell you, it was a fantastic decision. I mean, seriously, it was amazing. Yeah, I won't lie, it was tough in the beginning. I had never lived alone before that. I was always either sharing a place with a roommate or living with my ex. Suddenly, there was no one's house to go to. But I managed to adapt to my new job. And guess what? I really enjoyed it. Plus, I started feeling comfortable in my new apartment. Along the way, I made some new friends, and things started looking up. And you know what? This is also where I met my current fiancée. It's crazy to think that I thought finding someone like her would be impossible after my divorce. She's such a better match for me. It blows my mind that I got married before. Although I'm a bit hesitant about getting married again, she's patient, loving, and we're genuinely happy together. After a couple of years, we even bought a house together. And yeah, I might be crazy enough to go through with getting married again, but don't tell her that. I guess what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is that things can work out even when they seem impossible. My divorce didn't leave me in some Joe Exotic level mess. Financially, I recovered just fine. My new job is fantastic, and my fiancé is even more amazing. When I look back at where I was in that old post, it's mind-boggling how much my life has changed. I come home now, and I'm genuinely happy. We're so compatible that it feels like this is how life is meant to be.